Thanks for being with us this morning. Welcome to the Sun Belt Football Championship Game media availability. Over the next hour, we'll be joined by App State head coach Shawn Clark, Sun Belt Conference Commissioner Gill, and Louisiana head coach Billy Napier. Like I said, for media, please remain on mute until we open up for questions. To ask a question, please use the emoji to raise your hand or send a message in the chat. Once you're called upon, you'll take yourself off mute and then ask your question. When you ask your question, please state your name and your media affiliation. We're joined now with App State head coach Shawn Clark. Coach, would you mind beginning with an opening statement?
Yes, on behalf of Chancellor Sherry Everts and Athletic Director Doug Gillen, we're excited to be playing for the third time the championship game versus Louisiana. I think we're another 10-win season. I think that's why you come to school here at Appalachian State to get a world-class degree and play for championships. So we're excited. It's going to be a big opportunity for our program to be on ESPN at 2:30 Central Time, and we look forward to it. And it's a great game. The commissioner's done an unbelievable job of getting this championship game set up, and it's one we're looking forward to.
Thanks, Coach. For our media, raise your hand or send a message in the chat, or just go ahead and get off mute if nobody's jumping in. Any questions for Coach Clark? Brett, go ahead.
Yeah, Shawn, you have been on the other end of the spectrum as going into a bowl game with an interim coach or into the postseason. What kind of change in the dynamic of this does their situation make, and how did you handle that transition?
Well, I can't speak for Billy, but I know when we were here we did it 2 years in a row. Scott went to Louisville and Eli went to Missouri, and it was business as usual. I know the coaches were there to win a bowl game, and that was important to do it right by the kids and to make sure they have a world-class experience. And it was business as usual, and I think that's how you have to go about it. Like I said, I can't speak for him. I'm very happy for him, very proud of him, the way he has his program going right now. And it's good for our conference, but it was business as usual here, and we want to go out and put a great product on the field for our fans to be happy to.
And how big is it, and how much does it mean to you and your kids to get back to the championship game after missing out last year?
It's big. This is the third time it's been played, and it's been us in Louisiana the whole time. And I think it's big. Anytime you can have a chance to play for championships, and that's what we sell in our programs, get a world-class degree and play for championships. I think it's big for recruiting. It's big for us going on the big stage of ESPN. And I think it's great for our whole university as a whole.
Thanks, Brett. Dan, go ahead.
Coach, your team's given up only 31 points in the last 4 games combined. Was there a switch that flipped, or was it something there were some changes somewhere along the line, or did you guys just start doing things better?
Well, I think if you look at our whole body of work on defense, if you take out one game from the season, we played at a high level all year long. And after the Louisiana game, we came back and regrouped, and we didn't coach well that game. We didn't play well that game, and we went back to keeping things a little bit more simpler. And I don't think you can ever call the perfect defense. I think you have to be able to call a sound defense that your guys can execute. And probably the biggest thing we've done, we're really rallying to the football. We're getting 11 hats to the ball, and we're playing fast right now. I think if you turn the tape on from the last 4 or 5 games, I think our team speed has really shown, and that has given us a chance to be successful.
Well, and follow up there, motivation after that game. I know that coaches trying to always find a way to motivate their teams, but do you really need to use that because you can just pop that tape on?
No, our players know that we didn't play well. Our coaches know we didn't coach well. I always say that, coaches lose games and players win games. But again, we're treating this like any other game, and it is a championship game, but it's about being 1-0. And we talk about that here all the time. It's been 1-0, and we'll keep a normal schedule. Today's an off day for us. We'll come back, have 2 tough practices, a walkthrough on Thursday, and we'll travel Friday.
Thanks, Dan. Brett, you had a question?
Yeah, Shawn, just you've been at App for a while in different roles, and for this program to have won 10 games, 5 of the last 7 seasons, what do you kind of see as the reason for that kind of sustained success through different eras and different coaches?
I think it goes back to tradition. I think if you look at our body of work for the last 30 years, we have a lot of tradition. We've won a lot of championships, and our kids know how to prepare. And I think the coaching part of us we've had some great football coaches here, but more importantly, we've had some great football players. And I think that's part of it. But, it's to win that many games, I think it speaks volumes for the support you have from your administration. And I think Chancellor Everts and Doug Gill, our athletic director, they've given us everything we have to be successful. Now we have to go out and put it on the field and put a great product on the football field.
Matt Baker, go ahead.
You've obviously gone up against Coach Napier over at Louisiana before. What are kind of the hallmarks of his program and what he's been able to do there?
Well, a lot of credit goes to Coach and his staff. And if you look at from the first year he was here to now, it's night and day. I think he's established what he wants done with his program. I think the biggest thing is their toughness. I mean, they have really gotten better in the trenches, offensive line, defensive line. Their team speed on the outside, it really creates some mismatches for you. But just really to watch him evolve. I mean, I was an assistant coach when he was the head coach there, and to where they are now compared to they were 4 years ago, it's a totally different program. And he's going to be successful wherever he goes. And we wish him the best of luck.
Brett, back to you.
Yeah, Shawn, you've already documented how your team has kind of evolved since that first meeting. I'm not sure how much you've watched them on film to prepare yet for this game, but how much has Louisiana changed and evolved and improved since you saw them last?
Well, I think they're always improving. I think the one great sign of a great program is they're not trying to reinvent the wheel every single week. They give you different shifts and motions and a different something on defense, but for their core it's not going to change. And they're executing at a high level. They have all year long. I mean, you go back to went back to the Texas game and watched the Monroe game, and they got great players. And I think that's a credit to him and how he's recruited there. But that's probably for us, and we're not going to change what we do. We have a couple of run plays, a couple of pass concepts, and we try to execute at a high level. And I think they're doing the same thing at Louisiana.
And one follow-up, Chase Bryce, has he exceeded your expectations this year, or is this what you envisioned when you brought him in?
That's what we envisioned. And again, when we recruited Chase from Duke, that's when during the pandemic, and he was not allowed on campus. So our in-home visit was just like this right here with his parents, and talking to people on Duke staff, they spoke highly of him, people we trusted and inside the program. And when he came here, just his leadership, his willing to learn our offense, learn our culture, learn our system. He really dove into the playbook, and from week after week 2 or 3, we opened the whole playbook up to him, and just the people they gravitate to him. Our players do, and he's a team first guy. I think that you have to have that as a quarterback at any level, I believe, and it's about the team first. And he'd rather give up his individual stats for a team victory any day.
Thanks for your time and good luck Saturday.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Brett. Tim Buckley.
Hey, Coach. Tim Buckley in Lafayette. Back to Napier for a second, kind of on the flip side for you guys in your defense. How will it be impacted by, kind of his play calling tendencies and his tendency for especially aggressiveness on 4th downs?
Yes. I mean, to answer your question, I mean, we're going to play our defense, so we can't reinvent the wheel. And he's kind of like us here at Appalachian State, that they give you 4 downs for a reason, so you might as well use them. And I think with the analytics of college football now today, it's about scoring touchdowns and not field goals. And that's something that we look into on a weekly basis of, what's our strengths, what's the defense's weaknesses to go for it on 4th down. But, he's going to run what he runs, and that's why he's one of the best play callers in college football, is because they do it better than everybody else, and they have the players to do that, and as they execute. And you watch your tape, there's not many missed assignments or bad play calling. It's about execution.
Back to Dan McDonald.
Coach, you've been around college football for a while, and you've seen coaching changes near and far and so forth. What's Louisiana going to have to deal with during this week with Coach Napier already announcing that he'd be leaving after the championship game?
I can't speak for their program. I know that change is difficult in any time. Again, I'm assuming their players and everyone in their program will be happy for coach and that he left that program better than what he found it. But again, it's about the players. And I think that's one of the reasons he stayed behind probably the coach championship game. Again, I can't speak for him, but I know it has to be tough. Change is tough, but again, that's part of the business we're in right now.
Any final questions for Coach Clark? Brett Martell, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, it's Brett Martell with AP in New Orleans. On Levi Lewis, I'm sure you're familiar with him by now. He's been playing for a while. How would you say his combination of experience and his skill set affects the way the Cajuns offense functions and executes?
Yeah, and I've really enjoyed watching Levi. I'm not sure if we tackled him yet since the last time we played him. I think he's still running, but just the different dimension he brings to the game. I mean, especially in your pass rush, you have to be able to have contain and not let him out of the pocket because he has a great arm. He can beat you with his feet. I think he's, for what Coach Napier's doing, I think he's the perfect quarterback for them. And he's won a lot of football games around there. He knows how to win, and Coach Napier has used him to his advantage. And we have to do a really good job of keeping him in the pocket. And I thought we did an okay job last time we played him of keeping the pocket, but some of the throws he made were big time throws, and we couldn't contain him. So we have to do a really good job keeping the pocket, routing the football, and play. But he's a hell of a football player.
And what role would you say the experience on each roster could play in this game overall?
I think both teams been there. This is 3 of the last 4 years. With each time we've had a championship game, it's been Louisiana and Appalachian State. So I think we know how to handle it. This is the first time we've traveled for a championship game, so we'll keep it consistent of how we do things. But again, I think it's great for college football. The two best teams in our conference, Louisiana and Appalachian State, are playing for a championship.
Back over to Brett for one last question.
Shawn, just the linebackers, the production they've had this year is pretty more remarkable between DeMarco, Trey, Nick, TD. Just can you comment a little bit on their success and particularly the way the guys up front have done their jobs to free those guys up to make the plays they've made?
Yeah, so just numbers alone, our linebackers have made a lot of plays this year. I think they're leading the country in some stat about havoc plays, a tackle for a loss, interceptions. But the credit goes to the defensive line. They don't get much credit for holding their gaps and freeing our linebackers up. But DeMarco, he's already accepted his invitation to the Senior Bowl. TD Roof is having an outstanding season. Trey Cobb, he has 3 picks on the season. So our defensive staff has put those guys in position to make plays, and they have for the most part this year.
Any final questions for Coach? All right. Thank you, Coach Clark. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
For our media, we'll be joined shortly with Sunbelt Commissioner Keith Gill. So we're going to please keep everybody on mute, and we'll have Commissioner Gill here shortly. All right. For our media, just as a reminder, please remain on mute until we open up for questions. To ask a question, please raise your hand. Once you're called upon, please take yourself off mute and state your name and media affiliation to ask your question. We're joined now with Sunbelt Conference Commissioner Keith Gill. Commissioner Gill, would you mind beginning with an opening statement?
Great. Thanks so much, Sam. Thanks for everyone for being here. Really exciting time in the Sunbelt Conference. Guess I'd be remiss if I didn't start by just congratulating Coach Billy Napier from Louisiana. So on being named the head coach at Florida. So I'm certainly excited for Coach Napier. I'm probably more excited for Florida in the sense that they're getting an unbelievable coach, unbelievable person, someone who I've really enjoyed working with during my time here at the Sunbelt Conference, and just great character guy, great coach, and really excited for him and excited for the University of Florida. So it'll be a big loss for us in the Sunbelt, but we are certainly excited for Coach Napier. I also want to congratulate Appalachian State and also Louisiana for making it to the championship game. So 2 unbelievable seasons for 2 great teams, and hats off to both of those coaches. Obviously, Coach Napier at Louisiana and Coach Clark at App State just really have done tremendous jobs. And then really just acknowledging Sunbelt football generally. So first time in the history of our league we've got 3 teams finishing the regular season with 10 wins or more. Louisiana actually has a 11-win regular season, coming in at 11-1, and ranked in both the AP and the coaches poll. But obviously Coastal and App both finishing at 10-2. So great testament to the quality and depth of our league. Great testament to the quality of Sunbelt football, and it's just really nice to see those 3 teams having such great seasons. So with that, I'll stop and I will take any questions that folks may have.
Thanks, Commissioner Gill. For our media, once again, raise your hand if you have a question. Our first question will be from Edgar Thompson.
Yes, sir. Edgar Thompson with the Orlando Sentinel. Thanks for doing this call, Keith. You raised it, so I'll ask. Is it just the nature of the beast that someone like Billy Napier is eventually going to end up at maybe arguably the top conference in college football?
Yeah, I think from a Sunbelt standpoint, we take great pride, in the fact that, a program as storied as Florida wants one of our top coaches. So I think it just really is a testament to what we built here. And so we're really, I can't be more excited for Coach Napier, having grown up in Florida and Winter Park. Certainly excited for the University of Florida as well, because they're getting a great coach and a great person. So I really think it's a testament to the quality that we have here in the Sun Belt, that certainly a program with history and tradition of the University of Florida would be, interested in one of our head coaches.
You've seen him a lot. What kind of brand of football do you think he coaches and will bring? Thank you.
Yeah, winning football, which I think is really important. I think, building characters, first and foremost, coaches are educators, and certainly trying to help, grow and educate students. So he'll build a program with that at its core, but, really good up front. If you look at those Louisiana teams, great offensive lines, run the ball and do it effectively. So control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. Solid defense, run the ball, obviously some RPO and play action, really good offensive mind. And, probably maybe one of the most famous quotes of at least this football season: scared money don't make money. So at the end of the day, he certainly, will take some risks. So I think, the Gators and Gator Nation are going to be in store for, just a lot of, success and a program they can be really proud of.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Edgar. Next questions come from Matt Baker.
I appreciate you doing this. I wanted to follow up on that for obvious reasons. Coach Napier. What's kind of the most impressive thing about him in your mind?
You know what? I've always been struck by how thoughtful he really is. Really smart, really thoughtful person. He's one of the coaches that I certainly leaned on when I was trying to get advice, and just the way he kind of approaches things, the level of care and deliberation he kind of puts into kind of making decisions. I was really impressed by that. So just a really smart, thoughtful, high character person.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Our next questions come from Tim Buckley.
Hi, Keith. Hey, what's the latest on chances for any of your new incoming members to come in 22 rather than have to wait till 23, or at least the timetable for knowing, when you will know, if you will?
Yeah, so we, for everyone, we're obviously anticipating them coming in 23, so kind of July 1st of 2023. And certainly if there is an opportunity for the schools to come in early, we're open to that. But, and that's something that we'll probably have to resolve or know at some point relatively soon, just because we have to start building schedules and those things kind of go way out. So I don't know. I can't answer any more specifically than that. Our plan right now is 2023. Certainly open to earlier if that works out for any of the 4 new members. But we'll probably need to know something relatively soon, just so we can build schedules in appropriate time.
All right, over to Dan McDonald.
Morning, Keith. How much of a relief is it not to have to go through looking like, cross your fingers, you don't have to go through all the issues of last year with the championship game?
So Dan, I almost feel like you're asking that to put the mojo and the jinx on us. So I almost want to just
I'm really not trying to
not answer it. So, but I'm going to knock on wood in my office so you can hear me knocking on wood. Here's what I would say. I do think that, hats off to our COVID-19 advisory panel that has given us a lot of good protocols to follow to try to ensure safe play. Hats off to obviously all the scientists and doctors that have been working really hard to develop, vaccines and also, countermeasures to COVID-19. And I think when all those things taken together, certainly it seems like there's been less risk. We've been fortunate enough to play without play football, at least without disruption this year. And hopefully that will continue through Saturday. And so I do think just the fact that we're, planning to have a championship game, is really exciting. And I just think that getting back to what I would say is a more kind of normal environment has been great. Having fans at games, having bands at games. So, I think, Dan, I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited for Saturday. Really can't wait. And I do feel like we're fortunate enough that, science and certainly, people, making choices to try to help mitigate this virus has really, allowed us to have a season that approaches normal. And I don't know that we call it normal, but it certainly is closer to it than what we had last year. I'm going to knock on wood again, too, just in case. All right.
Thanks, Dan. Our next question comes from Kyle Kensing.
I wanted to ask about James Madison coming in. What made them attractive as a new member, and how you anticipate them competing in the Sun Belt once they join?
Yeah, I think James Madison will be a very competitive member. I think a lot of things make them really attractive. If you think about that, obviously their location, that eastern footprint is really important. Quality academic school, which is great. And then a really quality football program with a great fan base. They're the number 3 overall seed in the FCS championship. And I think if that was their 8th straight playoff appearance. So the quality of football is great. Their fan base is really good, and fan bases were really important to us to try to attract really high quality fan base. And then the comprehensive nature of their sports program. If you think about it, obviously Sunbelt is really good at softball, and they've got a great softball program. Sunbelt is really good at baseball. They've got a good baseball program. Their basketball is great. They've invested in those facilities, both men's and women's. So they'll be a great addition to our basketball lineup. So I think the quality of their programs across the board, obviously the quality of their football program, their fan base, their location, and then the quality of their school made it a pretty easy choice for our presidents to extend an offer of membership to JMU.
Next question comes from Tim Buckley.
Keith, what is the latest on the plan for whether you'll continue to have one school host the championship game, or whether you go to a neutral site setup?
Yeah, we feel good about our current approach to football. So I don't anticipate any changes taking football to a neutral site. I think we'll continue to have it at the site of the highest seed and on campus into the near future.
And over to Kenneth Reese.
Hey, this is Kenneth Reese with Watauga Online up in North Carolina. Can you talk a little bit about you making the schedules for when all the teams, the other schools come in? How will that process work? Do you have like 3 or 4 people in your office that do all of that, or do you touch base with all of the ADs to make that happen?
Yeah, so we build the schedules in our office. Sometimes we obviously work with third parties to help us, just because building football and basketball schedules can certainly take a lot, and then we do the other sports. So we do that mostly in the office though, and then we'll forward those schedules out. So we don't necessarily, scheduling is always hard. There's always, challenges with that. So you don't necessarily want a whole lot of, you don't want too many cooks in that kitchen. Otherwise, you'll never be able to build a good schedule just because it's a challenge. So that's mostly just handled here in the office.
Thank you.
Back over to Tim Buckley.
And Keith, can you please quickly review, since it always seems to be changing, like what the order is and when the traditionally Sunbelt affiliated bowls get to use the option to make their selections, whether it's first or second or third, and in how many years? And has New Orleans informed you that it does intend to use the option this year? And will it be one of these situations where going into the championship game, the winners going here and the losers going there, or will that not come into play this year?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Tim. In terms of the bowls, we're still working through that, with obviously all of our bowl partners and obviously ESPN. So none of that is really finalized yet. So I don't know that we're necessarily going into the championship game with anything set in stone. So we certainly have been talking through some options with all of our bowl partners and certainly with ESPN. So we do have some, ideas of some things that may happen that I certainly can't share with you right now. But yeah, those things are obviously still fluid just because, they're impacted by outcomes, not just in our games, but, across the country.
And I understand that, but what are the rules for when the traditional bowls can, or how frequently they can use their option, and in what order they can use their option? And what's the process for them saying we're going to use it this year or we're not going to use it this year?
Yeah, I think, and I'm not going to get into all the details in terms of our bowl selection process and how that piece works. What I can tell you is that we're in constant communication with the bowls and certainly and with ESPN, and we're always working together to figure out, what makes the most sense and certainly honor our contracts. And so we're, as you can imagine, in the middle of that process as we head into the last week of the season championship week. And so, we're certainly coming down to the end. And certainly when we have things that we can publicize and report, we certainly will.
Thanks.
And we've got one more from Dan McDonald. You're on mute, Dan.
Sorry about that. On those same lines, just one more quick question. It's kind of procedural. And make sure I understand this right. A Sunbelt team, you have to have a Sunbelt team in New Orleans and Mobile, and then your other two eligible teams will play in one of those 8 ESPN Events Bowls. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, so the way that I would think about it is we've got 5 primary kind of bowl contracts. So 3 of those are with ESPN bowls. So that's Myrtle Beach and Camellia and Cure. And then 2 other ones are with the New Orleans Bowl, with the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl, and then also with the Linden Tree Bowl in Mobile. And so those are our 5 primary. Certainly, though, in the ESPN family of bowls, we can, there's a whole host, there's 7 other bowls, and actually even really kind of more than that we can actually access as well if those matchups make the most sense. So we've got those 5 primary that I said, and then there's other bowls that we can certainly, move into if we, obviously give up one of the spots in those other primary bowls.
Are you contractually required to provide a Sunbelt team to New Orleans and Mobile, or is that also in flux?
What I would say is that we do have contracts with those bowls. So those are bowls we certainly have contracts with. It's just that, we work across a system. And so sometimes in those systems, there could be opportunities where you don't provide it there, you go somewhere else, and then another team comes in to make a matchup better. So yes, I mean, New Orleans is a primary bowl. It's probably, it's the first bowl we ever had a relationship, one of our most important bowl partners. I think the Linden Tree Bowl in Mobile also in the same boat. But since this is a system, it's kind of interconnected in a way that, it maybe wasn't 25 years ago. You certainly do try to find matchups and create opportunity. But no, those are two of our primary bowl partners. We're proud to have them, and certainly, regularly want to send teams to those bowls.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Dan. And thank you, Commissioner Gill.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate everyone's time. So hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. So take care.
Thank you.
For our media, we'll be joined shortly here with Louisiana head coach Billy Napier. Just give us a minute here to get everyone on the line.
All right, we ready to go here?
All right, thanks, Billy. For our media, we're joined by Louisiana head coach Billy Napier. Coach, would you mind opening with an opening statement?
Okay, we certainly championship week is here, and we're extremely proud of our football team, our players, our staff, our entire organization. You start back in January working hard in this process, to position yourself and be relevant when you get to the end of the season, to win your division, to create an opportunity to play for a championship. And certainly we've done that. And I think that is, there's a lot of people that have contributed to that. And I'm proud to be associated with this group. I think that we have a tremendous amount of respect for Appalachian State, a very formidable opponent, one that we're very familiar with, and certainly have a ton of respect for how they play football. Their identity on offense, defense, and special teams, the effort, the toughness, really a lot of respect, for how they go about their business. So this will be a great challenge and one that we're looking forward to.
Thank you, Coach. For our media on the call, please raise your hand to ask a question. Once called upon, please state your name and your media affiliation. First questions come from Tim Buckley.
Hey, Coach. First of all, congratulations. Secondly, Brian mentioned yesterday that that you would be obviously coaching on Saturday in the title game, but he did say yesterday he was uncertain about your plans for the bowl game. So why was coaching in the championship game as important to you as it obviously is, even in a time of transition? And have you made a decision yet regarding the bowl?
No, I think the bowl game will be to be determined. I mean, I really, there was no question regarding coaching in the conference championship game. I mean, that was non-negotiable. And I think that it's also important for everyone to realize the commitment that we've made to the players here and the staff here to really kind of take a singular focus on trying to do the best job we can do for this team, in our preparation this week. There's was never a doubt that we were going to coach in the game. And certainly even now, we tried to get the announcement out of the way yesterday, but we'll have a total focus this week on the conference championship game. And then when we're done here, Saturday, we'll move forward and start working on the challenges that are ahead of us.
Our next question comes from Kyle Kensing.
Coach, I wanted to ask about 2005 working with Buddy Pugh at South Carolina State, what that experience was like and how that kind of early in your career sort of helped you out along the way.
Yeah, no, man, you're dating me a little bit here. 2005, that's a long time ago. We, I was a graduate assistant at Clemson and really had no ambition of coaching college football. My dad was a high school football coach. I was trying to get my master's degree so I could make $6,000 more a year, so, and that was advice my dad had given me. And Buddy called me in June and offered me a job there coaching the quarterbacks, an opportunity to call the plays. And I had so much respect for Buddy, not only his experience in South Carolina with Brad Scott and Lou Holtz, but also he was a legendary high school coach who ran a great program, very disciplined program. He had some success there. I had a few friends that were on the staff, and at that point I was 25. I was single, and felt like, I'm going to give this a shot. The underlying story there is I was pursuing my wife at the time, and she was about 45 minutes down the road in Charleston. So that made that decision a lot easier.
Next question comes from Jamarcus Fitzpatrick.
Hey, Coach. Just in your time here in Lafayette, how have you seen the culture surrounding the program, from things of the Cajun walk to the way the guys celebrate on the sidelines after touchdowns? Just how have you seen that change, and how have you been so proud to have been a part of that?
Well, it's been a special experience and a great journey. I think it's really about the people, right? I think we've done a great job here of hiring really good people and recruiting the right type of player, and then certainly working hard on the intangible things, the things that have nothing to do with talent, nothing to do with ability. This senior group that we have, who's been a big part of what we've been able to accomplish. I complimented them this past week and thanked them for them believing. Right? I think they've done a great job. I think we've got some guys that need to mute here. But I think this senior group reflects what it's taken, right? It's taken our players believing that they could do it. It's taken a special level of commitment, and then certainly amongst the players, a group setting a great example. We have that with our veteran players and our upperclassmen, our seniors. So it's been great to be a part of, and certainly, really a team effort, right? I think it's a direct reflection of a lot of people.
And to kind of follow up off of that, as I was out there on the Cajun walk, I saw you shaking hands with a lot of fans. Just how have they embraced you and loved on you in your time here?
Yeah, I can't say enough about, the people within this community. I think that it's one thing on the outside, maybe to hear about it, but just all the things that have been done, for my family, Allie and the kids, and it's been awesome. I mean, I can't tell you how thankful we are. I think it really is about the people. This is an unbelievable community that has great pride, strong values, and I think there was a lot of common ground there with myself. They've done a lot for our staff and their families as well. And we're thankful for that. And I think we've seen the support grow. And I think we've tried to leave this place better than we found it. And, one thing I would say about our fans and all the people that support this place, they're a part of the team, and I think it takes a team to have success in this college football dynamic.
Next question comes from Edgar Thompson.
Yes, sir. Nice to meet you. Look forward to working with you, sir. Yeah, I had a couple questions. First off, obviously multitasking and compartmentalizing are a gift a lot of you coaches have. What's the challenge there this week?
Yeah, Edgar, I think it's a great question, man. And I do think it's part of the challenge, right? I think, but I think what we've done here is we've tried to make a decision that we're going to focus on the task at hand. I think from a loyalty standpoint, anything less than that would be, that's not who we are and not what we're about. So, we're in the middle of preparing as we speak here. And, we've allocated some time early in the morning and late at night, to work on some of the future challenges that we have. But my schedule won't change this week. And I think we owe that to the players. And certainly that's the approach that we'll take. That's a great question.
You won't be sleeping much, I'm sure. But the other one, sir, you guys wouldn't have made it to this point if you hadn't built such a strong culture with this program. What's the key to doing that?
I think it starts with surrounding yourself with great people. And I think that people that have common, I think you need complementary talent, but you have to have a shared vision, if that makes sense. I also think that, you got to build trust over time by being really consistent and being fair. And I do think that communication is a big part of that, right? You got to build strong communication within the building, coach to player, player to player, and player to coach, right? And we've been fortunate here to hire some exceptional people, not only people that have great integrity and character, but also who are very competent, some of the best in the country at what they do. So I think assembling a staff and then certainly evaluating and recruiting and building a roster that not only has talent, but also is made of the right intangibles, and it's one thing to collect talent. I think it's another thing to build a team. And I think that's what we've focused on here, is building the team.
Thank you, and good luck this week.
Thank you, Edgar.
And we'll go over to Chris Vanini.
Yeah, Billy, there is obviously a game to play this week. You have already played App State once. What do you take away from that game, and what are the challenges of playing somebody twice in 1 year?
Yeah, I do. It's, heck, twice in 1 year. I think it's 7 times in 4 years or something like that. So, I think that the key here is that we understand that nothing happened in that game is going to affect this one. We're going to have to go earn the right to win with what we do and how we play on Saturday. Our detail, our urgency, our ability to execute, the discipline in which we play, and certainly we've got to produce and we've got to execute at a high level. So I think we understand the challenge that comes with playing against an Appalachian State team, and we respect that. And I think that's a good thing because our team will know what's required throughout the week. I think the big thing here is that we don't get too consumed with Saturday, and we focus on what we need to do each day, right? I think we've got to be very intentional about the approach we take in the meetings and the walkthrough. We got to be very deliberate at practice. And I think that we've got to live life with self-discipline this week and try to position ourselves so we can play with confidence. I think preparation, really good preparation, creates confidence, and that's where we're going to spend our time.
And how has the team handled the news when you told them? What was their reaction?
I would say, it was awesome to, some of the texts, some of the conversations after the announcement were unbelievable. I do think it's difficult on young players. I think we're all aware how that might affect a young player who has time left here. But I think this is a resilient group, and I think it's a group that trusts Dr. Maggard. Dr. Maggard and Dr. Savoy have done so much for this program and university, and the things that they've done for myself and our staff, the resources they've provided. just their understanding of kind of the nuts and bolts of what's required to have success in college football. We tried to educate them on how the administration has worked hard for them here. So, I think that's the big thing is I think they can trust Dr. Maggard that he's going to make great decisions going forward.
And we'll go over to Brett Friedlander.
Billy, how much, if any, has App State changed since you played them the last time, especially on defense?
I do think there are some minor, some minor adjustments, if that makes sense. I think that's a good question. One thing about Appalachian State is they know who they are, right? I think they've been very consistent in performance, not only this year, but just as a whole, right? And I think their head coach and coordinators have significant experience there, right? They've got a blueprint, it works. So I don't think they're too far off from what they've always done. They pride themselves on great execution. They're really fundamentally sound. They play with effort. They've got great team speed on defense, and they try to position the players to have success. So I see a few tweaks here and there, but for the most part, I think they know who they are. It's more about execution to them than, maybe making wholesale changes each week or, as the season goes.
Thank you very much. Good luck Saturday and as you move on in the future.
Thank you, Brett.
Thanks, Brett. We'll go over to Ted Lewis. Ted, you're on mute.
I'm mute there. Yes. Can you talk about a little bit about how the Sun Belt Conference has developed in the years you've been there, and particularly this year when they were adding schools during realignment instead of seeing schools depart? And what does that speak to the strength of the conference? And also, maybe, do you think that the conference improving had a little bit to do with how you were evaluated as a head coach ready to make a move up?
Yeah, Ted, I think those are great points. I do think that, the Sun Belt Conference has really made a move, in my time. I can only speak on my experience, but I think I was fortunate to come into the league the first year we had the conference divisional approach, the championship game, and certainly have seen that process improve each year. The resume of our league in competitive games against other Group of 5 conferences speaks for itself. Non-conference play in bowl games, I think the Power 5 wins and really some of the competitive Power 5 games, I think, speaks for itself. So, when they took this divisional approach, this 10-team format, I think the recruiting footprint is very similar to the SEC. I think there's a lot of great personnel. If you're evaluating your recruiting, you can put together one heck of a roster. And I do think that they position themselves well for conference realignment and were able to take advantage of that. So, a lot of people contributed to this. You can go all the way back to Carl Benson's decision to, go to this 10-team approach and the divisional format of the championship game. Keith Gill obviously took over in that leadership role, has done a nice job there, continuing that trend. And I think the administrations in the league have made a different level of commitment, from a resource standpoint and the caliber of coach that they've hired. So it's a very competitive league and certainly one that's respected across the country. And I'm thankful to have been a part of it. And there's no question, Ted, that it affected my ability, in the opinion of other people out there about our team for sure.
Thanks very much. Good luck.
Thanks, Ted. We'll go over to Kevin Foote next.
Coach, with early signing day, and we talked about this last week some, now that it's happened, how realistic is it that you're going to be able to devote 100% of your time with the transition going on? And And was it fair to say that your team was not caught off guard and that they'll be able to handle that part of it?
Yeah, no, I think the recruiting dynamic is just it's becoming part of college football this time of year, right? And it's certainly affecting things in a lot of different ways, right? I think this year in particular, given the dynamic with the transfer portal, the combination of that to go along with December signing, there's so many variables that affect, this time of the year. But as a whole, Kevin, we've kind of made a decision that we're going to focus on the game. My conversations with the administration at Florida, that was clear, that this week in particular, we were going to be focused on doing the best job we could do for this staff and the players here. And it's just, heck, anybody that's been around us around here knows that that's the way it should be, and that's the way we want it to be. So, much like was mentioned earlier by Edgar, there'll be some of that. You're going to have to compartmentalize a little bit, but my schedule and the amount of time I'm going to spend on our team this week will not change. I do think our players, we're fortunate in that we have great ownership and leadership amongst our players. And I think that'll help us navigate these things this week, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin. We'll go over to Matt Baker.
Hey, Billy, I'm Matt Baker with the Tampa Bay Times. Look forward to working with you soon. As you get ready to leave Louisiana, what are kind of the one or two things you're most proud of that you've done there?
I would say that, there's just so many individual stories on our roster. I think just from a personal standpoint, some of these relationships that we built, the impact that we've been able to make on a lot of young men, and, not only the football accomplishments, I'm talking more about just the personal growth, who they are as people. I would like to think that, we've built a culture here it's about a lot more than just football. So I think that, just the individual people that I've gotten to know, the players that we've had an opportunity to work with, and the tremendous growth that we've seen. I think that there's so much gratification in coaching when you're able to be somewhere for, 3, 4, 5+ years, because you're a part of that story from the beginning, to the end to some degree. So a lot of these players that are seniors on our team, some we inherited, some that were in our first signing class, and some transferred in here. So I think that's probably what I'm most proud of, is I feel like that we've taken an approach here and done it the right way, and then really invested in the players.
Thanks, Coach Napier, for your time today. Thank you for our media. Thank you guys for joining this call. We're going to have a complete recording of the call posted on sunbeltsports.org later today, and look forward to seeing you guys in Lafayette this weekend. Thank you and have a great week.